at Santa Maria, our staff are really committed to lifelong learning and connecting their own learning to life. So I've spoken to some of our staff at the end of 2019 about what their greatest learning has been this year and also what they're looking forward to learning in 2020. We're just coming into the biology lab to have a chat with Callum Tillack, one of our biology teachers. Hey Cal.
Oh, hey Simone. How are you?
Good, thanks mate. I'm just wondering what you found the biggest challenge for you this year. This is your first year at Santa,
First
so
year.
what have you found has been a bit of a challenge?
The biggest challenge for me has really been extending our students to really realise their full potential. And in the past, the main focus at my previous school was actually just trying to keep them in the classroom, trying to manage a bit of disruptive behaviour. So this was quite new to me, and I had to develop new ways of teaching to really keep everyone interested and try and make sure that each and every student was actually maximising her potential. So that was the main challenge.
Excellent.
So it's still a work in progress, but still growing, still learning, but I'm getting there.
Excellent. Here we are in the Careers Centre and we're talking to Nick Cascanides, who is the Career Development Coordinator. So Nick, tell us about any podcasts or books that you've enjoyed most this year and why is that?
Yeah, sure. Yeah, I definitely Work Life by Adam Grant. I think that's a really great podcast. That's by an organisational psychologist called Adam Grant, and he's from the University of Pennsylvania, and he does a lot of research in terms of work life and aspects of work and how that implements or how that basically affects us in our everyday lives. And he tries to make work not suck in his opening remarks. So yeah, he's really entertaining and informative as well. So that's Work Life.
Wonderful. That must be why you love working at Santa Maria.
Yeah,
so much.
I love it. It's fantastic.
Sarah's our head of science, and she's been using some new tools for her teaching this year. So Elsa, tell us what you've been using this year, something a bit different.
I had a go at using the podcasting equipment in the library. Amanda showed me how to use that. And it was a little bit daunting to begin with and really quite embarrassing because you could see yourself, hear yourself and whatever. But I made very, very short little revision clips using the podcasting equipment on an aspect of human biology. So I did one on say, circulation and then on protein synthesis. And it made me really be clear about very short what I needed to say to the students, and then I uploaded them onto OneNote so that the girls could then use them as revision before their semester 1 or semester 2 exams. And they found it really a different way of revision. And they said that they listened to it on the way to school, on the bus. Wow. And I made it quite fun as well. So, and they said, when are we getting more of them? So I think it was quite useful.
Great.
Yeah.
So you think you're going to continue with this
next year?
year?
Yeah, I'm going to try. Yeah, absolutely.
So we're going to have a chat with Michelle Carrick, who is our Head of Professional Learning, to find out what she's been reading this year and what she's excited about doing next year. Hi, Michelle.
Hello.
Hi there. I'm just here to have a quick chat.
Okay.
So tell us about what you've been reading this year.
Oh, well, I've been reading this book called Clarity by Lynn Sharratt. I found it to be very insightful and a great book about what matters most in learning, teaching and leading in schools. It's talked about lots of different strategies that we can use in the classroom that can enhance the learning and the teaching that's taking place. Some of it's new, some of it's things that we've been doing for a long time, but it's useful for us to re-envision and think about how it can be useful in our school.
With two of our Year 5 teachers, we've got Kate Poole and Corrine Costa, and we're just having a chat about biggest learning for them in 2019. So Corrine, what have you learnt this year?
Okay, so the biggest, I'd say, learning for myself in 2019 was we did a lot of work on creating and devising assessments and looking at a tiered sort of assessment model. Lots of interesting sort of information we learned about how to devise that, so that was very, very interesting. So I like that one.
Kate, what do you think you've learnt this year? What's something that you go, wow, that's pretty significant?
I think one of the significance for us, especially in primary, is getting the girls settled in the college. And I think it's been really good to learn from each other about the little things that we do to encourage the girls to feel safe and secure in their new learning environment.
Yeah. What sort of things do they say are those makes a difference?
I think being approachable and being personable with the kids is really important, building relationship with those girls so that they know they can come to you if they're worried about anything, and also building that feeling of mutual respect between the students and the teachers is something we do really well here at Santa Maria.
Beautiful. Our Religious Education Department, and we've got a group of staff who've been working very diligently all day today preparing for next year. But I'm just going to ask them a couple of questions about RE teaching. So this is Shoshana Baines, Mary Pat Charlton and Kira Smith. So I'm going to ask you, Shoshana, what do you love about teaching religious education?
Where to even start? I think it's a really fascinating subject, and I think, we get to connect real world problems with the Catholic response and give them different insights and perspectives about the world around them. What do you think, Kira?
Well, I really feel there's a sense of responsibility for us as an RE department to bring the church, to bring God to some of the students who might not have that experience outside of school. And I know we all take that sense of responsibility very seriously because we love the subject that we teach as well. But I agree with Shoshana, it's a fascinating subject. The depth and breadth of topics that we get to teach is, really great. And even just for our own conversations that we have in here, we really get to explore lots of different ideas and different opinions, and it's great.
Wonderful, thank you. And Mary Pat, you've been teaching a while, been in the game for a bit. What would you say you're doing differently now than perhaps 5 years ago when you're teaching?
Well, we've introduced a lot of new technology into the department and new software, so we're trying to keep up with the times.
Right.
Currently, we're quite involved with the plenary council
Yes.
and trying to explain to the girls how useful that'll be and that their input is important. And one fantastic thing about Santa Maria is that we fly a mercy flag here, which gives us our own special charism of Catherine Macaulay, who was definitely a woman beyond her time, and we try to instill her vision, especially through the Christian Service program, with the students.
Wonderful, great. So here I am speaking with Jen Jansen, one of our English teachers, and I'm asking her what she has learnt in 2019.
I think one of my greatest things that I'm taking away this year is to move away from a teacher-led classroom to a student-centred classroom. I think that as a teacher you feel like you've got to be the centre of knowledge and the fountain of all knowledge. But I think even the room formation is something that I've experimented with. So rather than having a U shape with me in the middle, have groups, and sometimes you can go back to the U, when it's appropriate. But the groups allows the students to have that conversation as well. And even something as simple as me speaking to the classroom, giving some input, and then doing a think, pair, share, or doing a think, pair, share, and then them leading out with some of their ideas. I think that's really important.
Okay, and so how have the students been able to use their voice to help others in the classroom as well?
One of the things that we do in the English classroom is journal work, and peer review is where a student will review a journal entry that a student has done and talk about areas that are to be commended on and areas for growth as well. So they leave a comment, and it's really good for them to read what others are writing about and have a bit more confidence in their own writing, but also be able to grow from what they're reading as well.
Many others. Yeah, fantastic. Thanks, Jack. Okay. I'm here with Elaine Blake, one of our dance and drama teachers, and I'm going to ask her what's her biggest learning for 2019?
My biggest learning this year was directing the middle school production in 2019. I hadn't done this before, and it was a huge undertaking for me. I learned a whole lot of new skills under directing, dealing with Molly with props and set design, and it was a huge undertaking, but I feel like in the end it worked out really well, and you guys saw it. It was
awesome.
Pretty spectacular. The kids did such a good job, and I feel like at the end it was so rewarding for myself because I gained so many more skills than I had before.
Wonderful. Thanks, Elaine. So now we've come to the end of our school year. I hope you've enjoyed a little insight into the growth and learning in our staff over this year. We look forward to continuing this culture of learning into 2020, both for our staff and our students.